Footy is back, the fixture is out, we are ready to start the season. So in this video, we're going to be counting down the top 10 games you cannot miss this year. These are the games that you must watch. We're going to go from 10 down to 1. It's going to be pretty exciting stuff. You may have some things that you want to say. You want to jump in the comments section, tell us that we're wrong. Go for it. Before we do that though, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We have plenty of NRL content coming out this year. So with all that being said, let's go. Top 10 games you cannot miss. Let's go. No. Before we get into it, make sure you're set for the new season with Zero Tackle's 2025 NRL Season Guide. The comprehensive season guide features over 120 pages of dedicated, detailed footy content ahead of the 2025 season. With profiles of every single player, team previews, fixtures, recruitment reports, and much, much more. Best of all, it's free. Get it now from zerotackle.com. All right, so here to break down the 10 games you cannot miss in 2025, Darren Parkin. Darren, welcome.
Yeah, we've got an interesting list. There's some obvious blockbusters. There's some intriguing matchups between sort of former player and former club, former coach and former club, and a couple of underrated rivalries. So hopefully we don't miss too many.
Yeah, so it's going to be a pretty exciting year of footy this year. So this video is brought to you by our 2025 season guide. So it's got everything you need to know about the upcoming 2025 NRL season. So check that out at zerotackle.com. Let's get started on this list. We're going to go in order from 10 down to 1. Number 1 being the most exciting game. Number 10, we're starting with the Eels versus Dragons, round 5 at Combat Stadium. So this one obviously all about Clint Gutherson.
Yeah, if you looked at the two squads on paper at the end of last season, you wouldn't have thought this match would feature too prominently in the list. But yeah, the former Eel, Clint Gutherson, heading to the Dragons and already made a pretty significant impact over pre-season for them. Both teams need to make a bit of a statement early in the year. It's a very much a new look Dragons side. Saturday Arvo, sellout crowd, a pretty decent chance. So, and they'll both consider this game winnable. So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, and it's nice early in the year as well. So now moving to number 9, a little bit further down, sort of in the middle of the year, Tigers versus Panthers. It's going to be a massive one. Obviously, Jerome Luai, Sunia Turuva, first game against their old club after moving in the off-season.
Yeah, again, you look at it and you got perennial wooden spooner versus perennial premier. But the history of the matchup, given their rivalry, it's always a lot closer than that. The Tigers beat the Panthers in 2023, which is one of the biggest upsets we've seen in this modern era. As you say, a couple of key components in Luai and Turuva heading to the Tigers to take on their old side. And I think there's a genuine feeling that they're getting better. We know the Panthers are going to have the target on their head all year as the four-time defending premiers. But yeah, I think the Tigers are making some moves, and this is an intriguing match, usually low-scoring and tight.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see Jerome Luai up against his old squad. So now we're looking at number 8. So the Roosters versus the Dragons. This is the traditional Anzac Day game, round 8. Allianz Stadium. I'm just going to read out the line that our chief editor, Scott Pride, has put in here relating to last year. So the Roosters belted 7 shades. Sorry, I'm going to start that again because it's worth it. The Roosters belted 7 shades of out of the Dragons in 2024. I'm going to have to bleep that one. But yeah, that's what Scott put down for that one.
It's true. And if it's on the rundown, no Ron Burgundy's here. But yeah, it was an absolute belting. But generally, the matchup's pretty good. The Dragons, I think it's 12-11 head-to-head in Anzac Day matches. Goes all the way back to 2002. Always a huge crowd. Roosters, very much an unknown commodity this season with the huge exodus of players with their salary cap squeeze. And as we mentioned, the Dragons, a bit of a new-look team. So the gap between them much smaller and should be an interesting game.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a bit closer for the sake of Scott's sanity. He's a very passionate Dragons fan. All right, so number 7, Broncos versus the Dolphins. Pretty much very late in the year, around 24. But they've got a nice little rivalry coming up now.
Yeah, they do. It's built pretty nicely. The Dolphins, I know a lot of people say they finished the Broncos season in round 26 last year. The Broncos were probably cooked by then anyway, but it was one of their biggest wins in their history. They've claimed some good scalps, the Dolphins, but they've made that rivalry work. There's often the feeling that the established big brother in the Broncos would own it, but they haven't done so. It's been pretty interesting, and I think both those sides can play finals, and I know the talk around the Broncos is of higher expectations than that, so this should be a good one.
Yeah. All right, so number 6, making their second appearance on this list. So the Tigers versus the Eels, round 7. This is the big Easter Monday clash.
Yeah, and that's probably what gets it in. I mean, on paper, it hasn't been a super matchup, but it's close, big crowds. That Easter Monday fixture, always very popular. It was 17-16 last year. The Tigers have won 2 of the last 3. Both sides looking for improvement, and it's early enough in the season at round 7 that it's conceivable they enter it at 3-3 or both in the mix.
Yep, should be interesting. All right, getting into the top 5 now. So number 5, we have the Las Vegas game. Panthers versus the Sharks. This is round 1. Panthers just have the wood over the Sharks.
Yeah, I mean, the game could be significantly higher in the list, but that is a factor. I mean, the Sharks, when we did our season previews, certainly in the mix to challenge for the title this season. They've recruited well. They've got a lot of natural depth, but last year in the prelim, 26-6, 42-0 in round 12 of last year. The Sharks just haven't been able to challenge these top sides despite finishing in the top 4, but there's so much to like about it. I mean, the Vegas factor's an unknown commodity, Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary. So really keen to see whether the Sharks in round 1 can lay a marker down and say, yep, we can mix it.
Yeah, Sharks fans are going to go ballistic if they manage to win that one. Number 4, Dolphins versus Rabbitohs. This is a big one. Round 1 as well, so very early on in the year at Suncorp. So Rabbitohs obviously bad season last year, but this is Bennett against his old team.
Yeah, had an awful run of injuries, had a lot of players that were sort of wandering off the path a little bit, and it was they just need obviously Wayne Bennett to come and straighten that up. Comes up against his old side. The Dolphins are a young franchise, but if they were to knock off Wayne Bennett, who left the club in the first round and set a bit of a statement, that would be really big for them. Bennett's had a pretty good record at making sides bounce immediately, like when he won a flag almost straight, or won a title almost straight away with the Rabbitohs first time around. And then obviously all of his track record at Brisbane before that. So can he get them building right from the word go?
Yeah, should be pretty interesting, that one. So coming into the top 3 now. So number 3, Bulldogs versus Manly, around 21 later in the year, but still a very exciting game.
Yeah, 30th anniversary of the 1995 Bulldogs grand final win, which came over Manly. This game's being played at the Sydney Football Stadium, of course, and terrific first round finals matchup last year with the Sea Eagles getting the job done. The Bulldogs playing finals for the first time in a long time. They look like they'll keep getting better. I actually think Manly are a chance to push into the top 4 as well. We'll obviously know by round 21 whether they're in the frame for that or not. But this is a really good matchup on paper.
Yeah, probably best game of the final series last year, that one in week 1. So coming in at number 2, Panthers versus the Broncos. A little bit earlier in the year, round 9, Suncorp. Potentially this is during Magic Round as well. So this is going to be massive, and hopefully I'm going to be there.
Yeah, you look at the extra factors in these matchups. I mean, it's a good game anyway, and the Broncos expected to bounce. I think they'll start the season pretty well, and having the Panthers up there as part of Magic Rounds against the host team, if you will, makes it look like a really significant contest. So can they go with the Panthers in front of a huge parochial sellout home crowd and make a bit of an early season statement?
Yep, absolutely. All right, so now we've come down to the number 1 game that we're most excited about, that you must watch this year for the 2025 season. Probably no surprises here, but it's going to come at round 3. It's Panthers versus Storm, Melbourne home ground. Grand final rematch. Probably no real surprises there.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Every year, the rematch of the grand final should top the list. Melbourne Storm beat Penrith twice in the home and away season last year and kept them scoreless in their first meeting, which was in round 1 in Melbourne. So last time they played in Victoria, the Panthers didn't score. Penrith got the ultimate revenge in the grand final by winning their 4th premiership in succession. But round 3, both sides should be going pretty well. Panthers still coming back from the Vegas trip by that point. And these sides are listed in most people's predictions as being 1 and 2 in the race for the title.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Storm are going to be quite angry at that game, and they're going to want to get one back. So let us know in the comments what you think of our list of our top 10 of the most exciting games to watch this year. Let us know what you think, if we got it right, if we got it wrong. I think, number one, probably everyone's going to be pretty excited for that one. But yeah, the other ones are pretty much up for grabs. So let us know in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. We've got plenty of NRL content coming out this year. And get a free download about NRL 2025, the season guide that's got pretty much an entire guide to the whole season. You've got player contracts, you've got a full list, recruitment reports, everything you need in there. And catch all the latest NRL news at zerotackle.com.